On this episode of Med-Surg Moments,
we are celebrating the 7th anniversary of Med-Surg Moments.
Well, hello, everyone.
Biggest update for me is that
It took me 6 years to get a 2-year degree.
We'd like to take a moment to share the bittersweet news
But I'll tell you, the 7 hours, a lot of people are telling me, you look younger. And I'm like, I know.
How do you think this conversation and having this forum impacted our specialty?
It's so common to have these conversations and hear the nurses be like, oh my gosh, that resonated, that struck a nerve.
The specialty of medical surgical nursing is so important. It's the one nursing schools focus on the most.
How has being a co-host changed the way you listen to conversations?
How has being a part of the show affected the way you show up in your life and at work?
This is Mary Tess,
Sam,
Eric,
Marcella,
LA.
and Sydney. Welcome to Med-Surg Moments, the AMSN podcast.
This podcast is an engaging look at the lives of and surrounding medical surgical nurses.
We're proud Med-Surg nurses just like you, sharing our stories, insights, and experiences to support you in your nursing journey.
This is AMSN President Kristi Reguin-Hartman, and it's truly my pleasure to be a guest co-host on this very special episode. We are celebrating the 7th anniversary of Med-Surg Moments, having achieved over 140,000 downloads, reaching med-surg nurses in 136 countries. This podcast continues to be an important community and voice for our shared medical surgical nursing specialty.
That's right, Kristi, and as is our tradition with our annual anniversary episodes, we are truly delighted to welcome back 3 familiar voices. Former Med-Surg Moments co-hosts, Laura, Alissa, and Caroline. Welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks, Marcella.
It's always fun to come back.
Since we know you're anxious to hear all about what's happened since the last time we heard from them, let's begin with our former co-hosts. Laura, why don't you start?
Hello, everyone. It is so nice to be back here with everyone. I can't believe has it been a year already? Wow, that's crazy. For me, life is good. Work is great. I'm still working as a nursing professional development practitioner in Dallas, Texas. Some family updates for me. My daughter finally graduated with her bachelor's degree. Nothing like a 7-year tour of college, but she graduated. So we were all very happy about that and celebrated big time. She's been on her own for about a year and is ready to go back for her master's degree. So she's actually going to move home with me in the fall. So we're excited about that. My husband and I have been talking about moving to New York for the last couple of years. And I think my husband is actually going to make the move later this year. I'm going to stay behind. My daughter's going to move home for a couple of years to do her master's degree, but then I'll join him after she graduates. I was able to present at 2 different conferences. I was at the ANPD conference in Vegas last spring, and I also presented at the AMSN conference in Austin last fall. And biggest update for me is that I am 2 classes away from finishing didactic courses for my DNP, and then I will start my project. I need to figure out what that project is, so if y'all have any ideas, please send them my way. Alissa, what's been going on with you?
Well, first of all, it's super good to see you again, Laura. I can relate to it taking forever to get a bachelor's degree. What did you say, 7 years? It took me 6 years to get a 2-year degree. So I get that. I feel that. No shame to your daughter. I'm glad she got it done. Things that are going on with me. I'm still working as a nurse manager on an ortho trauma unit and absolutely loving that position. I am almost done with my PhD. I just got IRB approval last month. So I'm starting to recruit. If you know people who want to participate in my research, let's send them the flyer. It's interview time, baby. I got to talk to people. Very excited about that. The family's doing good. Being a grandma is the best thing that's ever happened. So I recommend it to everybody. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, do grandma. Parenting is hard. Your reward is being a grandparent. Holy cow. It's so much fun. Love being a grandparent. My son is out on his own, living his life in the world. He's not even 21 yet, and he's been out of the house for 3 years. And yeah, having so much fun being an empty nester and a grandma. And I also got to present in AMSN's convention in Austin. That was so much fun. We did the town hall. I had a blast. So love doing those presentations, love education, love nursing, love med-surg. That's where I'm at still. How about you, Caroline? How have you been?
Well, hello, everyone. It's good to see new faces and reconnect with old friends and faces. It's hard to believe another year has gone by, and here we are at year 7. Who'd have thought? So what has happened in my year? I've traveled extensively. 2025, I was on a plane. Some months it felt like every week visiting clients. I'm still working for the Workforce Solutions Company in a slightly different role now. My full-time position was actually cut at the end of the year. That was a little bit of a shock. But I'm back on a APRN basis, focusing on what I love, and that's education and professional development. So everything works out for a reason. It's been an extremely busy first week of the year already. Convention was great. Obviously, the presentations of my former podcast hosts here were fabulous. I was very excited and thrilled and humbled and honored to be inducted as a fellow, which was very exciting, and look forward to seeing a new group come along this year as well. Family-wise, my youngest moved out finally and is doing very well with her hair and makeup expertise. She's also been working for a company who you can pay people to come and organize your closets, your kitchen drawers, and all of those places that you just normally shove things away. Loving that. My older daughter moved to Ascension Health this year, where she is a manager now, so she's doing very well. My husband continues to travel, but he's only about an hour and a half from home now. Sometimes he can get home from Anderson, South Carolina, quicker than he can from Atlanta because of the way traffic is around here. So everyone is doing well and looking forward to seeing what 2026 brings. New opportunities abound, but as a medical surgical nurse through and through and professional development advocate, that is my main focus from the career perspective for this year.
What great updates. It's so lovely to hear from you all of the history that sits here in this room and all of the work that's been done on this podcast over the years has just been so impactful. And before we continue, we'd like to take a moment to share the bittersweet news that this will be Meritess and Sam's final episode. All Med-Surg Moments co-hosts serve 3-year terms, and Meritess and Sam's terms are up. 3 years is a long time to commit to a giant volunteer role like this, and this one has had such a big impact. And so I want to say, on behalf of myself and the Academy of Medical Surgical Nurses, we offer our appreciation, our gratitude, our giant love for your commitment and the outstanding job you've both done over the past 3 years. So big cheers and thanks to you both.
Thank you so much. It has been a whirlwind for sure. I can't believe it's already been 3 years. It's gone by so fast.
I echo that. I still remember my audition with Laura, and it's amazing. Thank you to AMSN for this opportunity.
Let's hear those final personal updates. Mary Tess, what's new and what does the future have in store for you?
Oh dear. I've been wanting to share this. The last episode I did share about my 7-hour sleep. I don't know if you remember that. I have been maintaining that. I've been sleeping 7 hours. I just can't maintain the vegetables and the fruits. I'm telling you, that is so hard. And drinking water. But I'll tell you, the 7 hours, a lot of people are telling me, you look younger. And I'm like, I know I look young already. And I look younger. This is the best thing ever. And I say, thank you. I'm not telling you my secret. No, I'm telling you. It's the sleep. It is really. It helps me a lot with the focus. And it really helped me to just clear my mind at the end of the day. I know that's one thing that I really wanted to share for the longest time. And I actually did a wellness journal. It got published first week of December. And I incorporated that practice with all the other journals that I've been doing. Professionally, after this podcast, I blocked my time to focus on other things. I still don't know exactly what to do with that block of time. It's still empty. I'm a fellow of Fellowship in Nursing Economics. And so it's with the Commission of Nursing Reimbursement. So I'm one of their fellows, and I am focusing on really doing this campaign and having all the needed education that we need to provide to our nurses. And part of the platform that I'm doing is advocacy and policy changes, which is part of my passion. And I'm going to still be hanging around, probably not in the podcast. And I promise myself I won't be in social media a lot, which I've done. I haven't been in LinkedIn for a long time, but looks like it is part of our culture now to really be out there. And I've said this many times, if you want to share your voice, you have to show up. Family updates. We're going to be traveling a lot this year. I think I wanted to slow down because that sleep time of 7 hours is so hard to manage when you're traveling. We just traveled like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I need to go to sleep. And they're like, Mom, you're on a vacation. No, I need to go to sleep. How about you, Sam? What's going on?
I just want to circle back on your sleeping. I just wish our listeners could have seen the look on the co-host's face when you said that you slept 3 or 4 hours a night. We were all so shocked. So for my last updates, over the years and thinking back, I think I had just gotten married when I started, and then having a Theo, everybody got to hear all about that and him growing up. And now we're starting to plan his second birthday. And it feels like we just blinked and he's 2, and it's so crazy, but we're having so much fun with him and he's learning so much. And we've been kind of fighting for our lives in December with all of the illnesses that are floating around. If anybody else has littles or anything, you're all going through it. So we're kind of been in survival mode, but hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Professionally, I think I mentioned last time, but I've been in an interim manager role. I've been in there now for about 3 months. It's getting easier, kind of getting my feet under me a little bit more, but still just like so much work to do. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but we did not get like the holiday lull around December. It was maybe a day or two, and it was, wow, Q1 is already shaping up to be a doozy. So I'm sure we're not alone in that. So just kind of taking that in stride day by day. Looking into the future, I think this has been such a fun opportunity, getting involved, just kind of something bigger than just where I work, my day-to-day. And so planning to continue to be involved with AMSN through the Digital Content Committee, which is really exciting. So kind of more in the background role there, but then hopefully I hope to someday spread my wings to other nursing professional organizations as well. AMPD, ANA, there's all sorts of fun things to get involved in. So what I would hope that our listeners would learn from me is that it's really not as daunting as it sounds to get involved with stuff. You can kind of ease your way into it and find something that you like and that works well for you and your personality, your schedule. There's so many different opportunities. You just got to seek them out and figure out what's available to you. So this has been really, really fun. Made some really great connections over the years, and looking forward to making more in the future.
Sam, I love that. I agree. There's just so many ways to continue to be involved and stay involved and find whatever that next niche is that gets you excited. And I'm so glad you're staying on for Digital Content Committee. So thanks for that. Why don't we move on to our 7th anniversary conversation? I'll get us started with a question for everyone. How do you think this conversation and having this forum for us to get out information to medical surgical nurses across the globe, over 130 different countries, how has that impacted our specialty, or what changes have you seen that has come from having this conversation?
If I may, I think that using this platform is a really excellent way of sharing knowledge, not just about medical surgical nurses, but nursing in general. We're so busy. We're always on the go. Samantha was just talking about not being afraid to jump into other organizations because of the time frame. A podcast can be listened to while you're on the go, while you're moving around, but you're learning all the time. You're not in a formal situation. So I think it's been a really great platform, and to see it expand the way that it has across the country and around the world just proves the point that as part of normal conversation now, people will say, I've been listening to a podcast and this is what I found out. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have even known what a podcast was, perhaps.
That is absolutely true. And Carolyn, if you recall, this year we did an innovation adding CE credits to the podcast. And I do know that when that came out, because I have colleagues who would ask me, when is the next episode? It didn't come out today. And so when they said, can I really get a CE? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And so that was such a great innovation, being part of AMSN and the listeners looking into it as a resource. That is such a big impact to every nurse and every patient, I would say.
I feel like the podcast over the last 7 years has just created a space for the open conversations for nurses to have and kind of normalize all of our experiences. It's so common to have these conversations and hear the nurses be like, oh my gosh, that resonated, that struck a nerve. I understood that. And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I think that it's also showing Med-Surg as a specialty and removing the stepping stone mentality. If you are listening to Med-Surg Moments, you recognize that we are a specialty in our own right.
I think it really has given some support to nurses who sometimes feel inferior because people do look down on Med-Surg sometimes. So I think coming here and listening to all of us who grew up in Med-Surg and love Med-Surg and see it for what it can be. So I think that gives a lot of support to somebody coming into this and realizing that, hey, you know what? I kind of like this.
Great point, Laura. If I can just step back for a second and share with you all that last year I had the honor of speaking at the National Student Nurse Association convention, and it was just pure storytelling. I celebrated my 40th anniversary in nursing last year, and they invited me to tell my story to motivate all of these bright-eyed and bushy-tailed students, and it was just the sponge soaking up all of this information. And it gave me a wonderful opportunity to not just speak about the nursing profession, but the specialty of medical surgical nursing. You know, I'm always going to talk about it whenever anyone gives me an opportunity. And it really was inspiring to have them come up at the end of the presentation and say, I never even thought about med-surg nursing being a specialty, but the way that you've shared your story and your experiences, now I'll look to stay in that environment. And again, I said, and I have just the organization for you, because as we all re-reminded, AMSN is the only professional organization out there for us. And we are a specialty, and we should never be ashamed of saying that.
That's so exciting, and it's so good to get in front of the students. I'll share the line that I tell them, which is the specialty of medical surgical nursing is so important. It's the one nursing schools focus on the most. That's how big it is, and that's how valuable it is. And so that's why it's most of your nursing school curriculum.
I've heard you say that before, Kristi, and so I've started stealing that line from you because it's so true. And any opportunity to sell a med-surg to anybody. I do it in job interviews when I'm interviewing potential nurse residents. And just so you know, we are a specialty. Here's my certification pin. I'm on the board of directors. It is an amazing opportunity to be a med-surg nurse. So I love the way that you describe that about a nursing school because it is absolutely true.
I think that's an incredible statement to make. And for Caroline, that's so impressive. 40 years. How has being a co-host changed the way you listen to conversations?
It's interesting to hear younger generations speak. The expressions that the millennials use, everything's super fun, super exciting. It's just a different vocabulary, I guess. That's been one thing. But I think the podcast has really made a connection with millennials because it's using technology that certainly I wasn't aware of when I first started out. Someone came up to me at the end of my presentation and said, don't let the wisdom of age be wasted on you. Because I used to be almost scared to tell people how long I'm out there because they do the math and they're like, well, you should be collecting Social Security now. But I just feel like in some ways I'm just beginning as I connect with the generation of nurses that are coming out of school now and imparting some of that knowledge and wisdom to explain why I'm still here 40 years later and don't want my drip increasing anytime soon because I still think it's the greatest profession in the world. And there are so many different areas to specialize in. And being a podcast host was something that I never anticipated, whereas it's second nature for those 21, 22-year-olds coming out of school now, plugging in their AirPods and jogging along or driving, whatever, but still receiving education and knowledge about medical surgical nursing.
I think for me, with the podcast and changing the way that I listen to conversations, things like that, I think it's really helped me build my skill in facilitating a conversation. I think early on, there were definitely some episodes where it would be dead silent for a while and nobody wanted to talk and really made me think about, well, how can I start a conversation asking a question in a different way, kind of leaving it open-ended. And I think as a group, we kind of all picked that up together pretty well. And that's just been a fun skill to learn. And it's definitely useful in everyday work.
I think we've all been a little bit talented in that just as being nurses, because all day long with your patient is really intimate interviews and conversations and open-ended questions, non-leading questions. We're kind of good at getting under the skin of something that's maybe uncomfortable or personal. And I think that's why we all really get excited about these conversations too, is because we're living it with our patients or diving deep into people's ideas and personal experience is something that we just want to keep pulling out of somebody, I think, naturally.
Marcella, I think that's such a great point. You actually kind of started to answer what my question was. How has being a part of the show affected the way you show up in your life and at work?
Coming on the podcast and talking to everybody else and recognizing the similar ways that we deal with our patients and sharing our stories. When I'm teaching a class or when I'm talking to other nurses, I have experiences I can share from you guys. And I'm recognizing, or at least speaking out about how, other nurses across the country and even around the world are dealing with these same kind of problems. It's made me more open and I have a lot more to share.
For me, hearing so many different authentic stories reinforces for me the importance of the relational leadership that nurses have and that vulnerability and curiosity that we approach our patients with. And so I think I'm more intentional in the conversations I have now of making sure that I'm creating psychological safety and amplifying voices that may not otherwise be heard, because this experience had taught me how to be a good listener, how to recognize when somebody's voice isn't at the table. And as Meredith has said before, get your own table.
That is absolutely what I wanted to share because it's so true. I agree. The confidence level being part of the podcast, it made me always think, if I won't say it, I believe somebody else out there has the same thought process. And if I don't say it out loud in the podcast, how am I representing them? And so you're absolutely correct. This podcast really brings a lot of perspective, and there's respect, there's professionalism in the way we conduct our discussions. And it is an avenue and a channel of storytelling. I know one wise person always tells us at the start of the podcast to always tell our stories. And that's the reason why it's so relatable to everybody.
A year ago, when I joined the podcast and we said goodbye to two amazing co-hosts, I was really at a turning point of how I was showing up for work and my home life, because I was so stagnant with nursing. I was so over it. I didn't want to show up. I was coming back from a maternity leave and I just did not want to go back. And it's not just because a stay-at-home mom sounds lovely, but it was more because my excitement about my job was really, really struggling. And that is the time, I've mentioned this before, I started listening to the podcast. Just hearing other people have these conversations, it made my profession feel like something personal to me that I could enjoy again. And I can hear people talking about their moves in their career and moving upward and moving forward. And I was not doing that at all. And that's when I really took being a med-surg nurse seriously, to the extent of, one, I'm going to make a big change. I got a new job. I've hit a year and I'm loving it. And it's embracing my med-surg roots, because I became Med-Surg float pool. So it's just any Med-Surg, anytime, anywhere, just throw me in. Embracing that and not thinking, oh, what specialty am I going to do one day? Should I go back to school? I have it right now. I'm a professional. I deserve more money. I deserve a better schedule. And I'm joining the podcast. So it was a big moment of, we can do this. And those emails, AMSN really just gave me that push that I was looking for at that time. And my chapter, I'm so thankful. And you guys. And like I said, I just hit a year at that job and a year with you guys on the podcast. It's really the resurgence of remembering what's so awesome about this career.
I want to ask this question because it seems that we're all so passionate to be part of this podcast, and we've given ourselves to the show. Talk about the ways this show has given back to us on a personal level.
I've enjoyed meeting all of you and then reconnecting with you at the conference every year. I think that has really made a big impact on me. And it's made me want to stay involved with the AMSN even after I left the podcast. I mean, I'm helping with the abstracts review. I want to volunteer in another way once I graduate. But yeah, it's made me want to stay involved. It's made me proud to be a nurse.
We all came in with a connection because we're all medical surgical nurses, but out of this, we've made great friends and we've stayed friends and we kept up with each other. And we may go for months on end and then all of a sudden a random text message or email pops up, Laura Johnson. It's really brought the fellowship of nursing together as a result of these podcasts.
I love that this podcast has brought all of this great information to medical surgical nurses, but also to nurses outside of our specialty who can listen in, and then also to the public. I've shared this with my cousin and said, hey, you have to listen to this episode if you want to know what it might be like to be a nurse and to think about what that care is like. And it's just a great avenue. All of this work you've put in, all the stories you've shared. I think the impact is even bigger than what we think. Before we go, we'd like to give Meritess and Sam an opportunity to share their final thoughts about their time as co-hosts.
Well, I wanted to say, first of all, again, thank you to AMSN for this platform, because without the podcast, it won't be as exciting. My last 3 years being a medical surgical nurse is super extra special. I always catch myself saying, I talked about this in a podcast, while teaching a class or talking to someone. And I'll be like, I'll give you the episode number and go to that episode. And you're not just going to hear my perspective. You're going to see everybody's perspective. And so it's just amazing to be part of this podcast team and being part of AMSN. I'm so happy that I found the website and I found everybody and I listened to the Queen. Caroline, that's you. So thank you, AMSN, and to all of you for the friendship and for great conversations for the past 3 years.
So I will second Meritess's expression of gratitude to AMSN and everybody here in this group, and up above, our director liaison has been amazing. All of the co-hosts, our producer. It's been such a fun experience. I think something that's kind of funny, and I probably have never admitted, but when I applied to be the podcast co-host, I didn't really listen to podcasts at the time. I just saw it pop through my email and I was like, that sounds like something that I could do. Might be something fun outside of my comfort zone. And I only got to interview with Stuart, our producer. I didn't have any other nurses to talk to. So I must have wooed him enough with whatever I was talking about at the time. I'm so thankful for these memories and this time with everybody. The networking has been so great. I look forward to staying involved with AMSN and hopefully making it back to a convention one of these days too.
Well, as the saying goes, with every ending is a new beginning, and I'm pleased to have been given the honors to announce that there will be 2 new Med-Surg Moments co-hosts with incredible stories that you'll meet in the next episode. Also, a very special thanks to Laura, Alissa, and Caroline, as well as our special guest co-host, AMSN President Kristi Reguin-Hartman, for taking the time to dust off those microphones and join us for this 7th anniversary episode and co-host reunion.
Thanks again for having us.
It's always fun to come back.
See you next year, if not before. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Med-Surg Moments, the official podcast of the Academy of Medical Surgical Nurses.
We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode of Med-Surg Moments, the AMSN podcast.
In the meantime, we encourage you to subscribe to Med-Surg Moments wherever you listen to podcasts.
To reach us, use hashtag Med-Surg Moments on your social posts.
Or send us an email at amsnpod@amsn.org. That's amsnpod@amsn.org.
We are all AMSN members, and if you love Med-Surg Moments, we invite you to become a member of AMSN. You can learn more at www.amsn.org.
Finally, the content within the Med-Surg Moments podcast represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the co-hosts and may not necessarily reflect the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Academy of Medical Surgical Nurses.
Until next time, this is Eric,
Meritess,
Sam,
Kelly,
Marcella,
and Sydney. And always remember, Med-Surg Moments is a moment in our lives and a moment in our Med-Surg careers that makes a huge difference.